And we're live. What's up, everybody? This is Bryson Fowler, Bosstalks on the Rooftop, and I have the greatest honor of introducing the Wolf of K Street, Mr. Joshua Habursky, the CEO of PCA. Now, this is Bosstalks on the Rooftop, and this is where bosses talk. Let's see. Now I have the playback. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Let's see. Did I lose Josh? Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you. Yep.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So, what's been going on? Catch me up.
Busy. It's been, a sprint to the finish line. We're, only a couple days away. I head to Louisiana on Monday night. But we're putting the finishing touches on the 2026 trade show. And as we were talking in the green room, we're also concurrently working on the 2027 trade show. So it's a lot of exciting things, a lot of enthusiasm. We're processing retailer new members. I think it's going to be a very festive time in New Orleans.
I think I froze for a second. Hold on. Damn it.
I hear you. You're good.
Oh, okay. We're cool. And we're rocking. I say right on. So with 2026, pretty much PCA is done, right? For the scheduling and the big things to do, right?
Yep, parties are all set.
What can we expect when going to this year's PCA?
Yeah, a couple new things this year. We have a welcome cigar every day of the show. The education sessions are packed. I mean, we have integrated some of our programs. We announced a partnership with FIU. We have a hospitality panel that's directed by the Dean of FIU School of Hospitality. We have an author, Nick Hammond, who's working on a book for the PCA that will be released in 2027. He's going to kind of preview what he's working on around the world in 80 cigars, the American Dream. And then we have one of the parties is hosted by the World Cigar Show and the Leaf Master, kind of tying in our new Dubai show that we did last year. So it's kind of integrating a lot of the projects that are outside of the main trade show into the trade show itself. We have another session with the Cigar Academy, which is a new acquisition for the PCA that, we purchased from Oliva. So, it's exciting times, new programs. And we're running it back with things that worked last year. We know that the outdoor party was a hit. We have, our keynote last year was Guy Fieri, and he did such a good job and was entertaining. We were bringing him back with Dave Savona from Cigar Aficionado, but we're also adding in Marlon Waynes from Trident Cigars. So Marlon's a fantastic comedian and actor.
Nice.
And I think it'll be really interesting to see those two on stage kind of what they bring to the table in terms of the cigar business, but also the entertainment and branding side.
There's going to be a complete different dynamic. I can't wait to see that. I was wondering if Marlon was going to be at PCA for his Trifendit, Liga Trifendit or something like that.
Yep, he will be there. His booth is
I still haven't tried it yet, but I'm looking to make my way that way.
Yeah, the perfect time to do it was the education session Friday. He'll have his cigars on hand as well as, Guy will have his. That's the 4 to 5 o'clock, the closing session of the education sessions before the parties start. This year, it's Friday is going to be exhausting. Everyone will start at 12:30, and I think our last party ends at like 2:30 in the morning. So get everybody excited, build that enthusiasm.
Yeah.
And, it's special. New Orleans has really rolled out the red carpet for the PCA. So, I'm going early this year to Baton Rouge to have dinner with the governor who was at the show last year. This year, it's incredible. We are presenting him an award. We're meeting and having cigars with him, before the show. But we have every level of government, Democrat and Republican, elected officials coming to the show. It's people sharing the love of the leaf despite differences. We just released a welcome letter today from the new mayor of New Orleans. So we're very excited for that. And I think we'll have like 30
Miss
members.
Helena.
Yep.
Miss Helena. Look at you out there kissing babies and shaking hands and rubbing elbows with both sides of them. Man, you what I love about you is like you understand business and you understand the political side of it.
Yeah.
So, and then you're just a true advocate for the leaf. So when I say, man, I got to give you your flowers, brother. I appreciate everything that you're doing on our behalf of being a brother of the leaf as well. So kudos to you, and hey, keep doing a good job, brother. So
thank you so much.
Going forward with, all right, you don't have to thank me. I thank you. But going forward with, what can we expect? Like the strategy for, say, a brand. What should they be expecting to do or gain from PCA this year?
Yeah, it's great. This year, I think that we have a balance of established brands, a lot of people celebrating, 30-year anniversaries. So you have your tried and true, every year retailers are going to place orders with companies like Padron and Fuente and LFD and Rocky and Drew Estate and Altadis. But you also have, I believe this year we have another 40 or so brand new exhibitors. And we actually highlighted that in our app, which I encourage people that are attending PCA to download the app. You'll be able to see all the new exhibitors in one list. So there's not only new product releases of brands that have been established, but you'll get a balance of some of the things, new innovators and new creators in the market that have an interesting story to tell. So I'm looking forward, and I think brands should look forward to that peer-to-peer interaction and kind of see, all right, this is what the tastemakers in the industry are doing to get market penetration, to entice adult consumers, and kind of build best practices as they grow their own portfolio and grow their business and really become established brands. So it is the biggest stage for cigars. I mean, by far, for the premium cigar industry, this is the most important 4 days that can make or break brands. I mean, some of the people that have been in the industry for 20, 30 years, they got their start at the old iteration IPCPR. I mean, this is our 90, I think it's our 94th or 95th iteration of the trade show. And it was only canceled 1 year, because of the pandemic. The show went on even during World War II. So it's an amazing history. I think that's another thing that's a good point to highlight. And I'm going to release the logo during the annual meeting for our 100th anniversary. It's in 2033. It's far away, or it might seem far away, but we're already making preparations. We're going to raise a lot of money. I have this crazy idea and dream of having a party outdoors at the Washington Monument in DC, where, it's our headquarters, and inviting everybody from the industry, having retailers, manufacturers, even some consumers to that event, to really do a good thing and show the elected officials in DC and show all the dignitaries the power and the vitality of the premium cigar sector.
Right, right. And so it also adds to a lot of the diversity of what you're doing as well, because the premium cigar sectors brings me in this same space of where we can have these real conversations, and then a lot of the decision makers, let's put our guards down, let's enjoy the leaf and really have a true heart to heart about what's on your sheet of paper, what's on mine, and
Yep.
see if we can come to some kind of agreement. It speaks volumes to that. And so once we started like experiencing and then expressing those realities of what the leaf is doing, I see nothing but great things happening. And you are pioneering that with further pioneering that with the PCA. Now, what should an attendee that is not a retailer expect when we're going to the PCA?
So like media and it's going to be an overload. I would try and schedule appointments ahead of time and kind of flag that you're there. This year we'll have 160 different media outlets or 160 people representing the media. I think we'll have a lot more local media from New Orleans as well.
Right.
So it's exciting. Everybody that's in the media. You get an extra hour. So, there's early entry 2 days of the show where you'll get to go in before the rest of the folks. So that's always a good time to get some of the, more popular booths. So, I would come up with a plan each day of knowing which places you plan to cover and who you plan to interview. And that's critically important because before you know it, the show's over. You get there
Right.
and there's a ton of anticipation, but then when you're on site, it just goes real quick and everyone's then done. It's the last day of the show and we're packing up.
Yeah. And what's so funny is like if you don't do it right, you won't wake up early enough. Because the party that we had last year at Cuban Creations, is there something else going on at Cuban Creations as well? I saw the
Yeah.
Pro Cigar event going on. Tell me a little bit about those.
So there's 3 parties every night at the warehouse, which is the old sugar mill, and then another every night at also Cuban Creation. So total of 6 major parties that everyone's invited to. I think there's even others. Some of the brands do individual parties. You mentioned the Pro Cigar Party that filled up very quickly. So it's I'm excited.
I got
Friday,
my ticket.
that's good. Friday night, I'm excited. Notorious Cigars, Conor McGregor's brand, they're hosting the party at Cuban Creations. So that'll be exciting. I know that they're bringing the belts and all of the fanfare with that. But there's our award ceremony. That's another party. I mean, the opening party. There's a ton of interactions, and that's something that I wanted to bring to the table. And we tested it last year, and the response was so positive. We're like, we're doing this again. Now in Vegas, there's larger venues, like larger cigar lounges where people can go and on some of the gaming floors. But I've made the decision for next year in Vegas to also do at least one large scale party that the association hosts, maybe not 2. But it's great to see everyone come together. And it's a continuation of what goes on the show floor in a little bit more of a relaxed setting.
Right. So I got a bone to pick with you, man. I really do. Because since I've started going to PCA, 2024 was my first go, right? I didn't know what to expect. It was a little overwhelming. I was like, wow, okay. And then 2025, I was like, okay, now I kind of got my wits about me, and I love New Orleans. 2026. I'm like, okay, guys, I just found out that there used to be an open bar. There used to be. So are we going to bring that back, that action back, or what?
So it is during the opening party, the 5 to 7. I know that there are some other happy hours that are going on during the trade show floor. So if you look on the schedule where it says happy hour, that's on the show floor, that is open bar. So there are opportunities for that. We don't have them for the evening parties just because we're controlling costs. This is a big revenue driver that pays for the operations of the association, but also our government affairs and advocacy, our lawsuits against the FDA, and this year the California lawsuit. So we're doing cost controls. We're balancing the fun and activities with that.
No, I completely understand that too. But the more libations I have, the more generous I am to the cause. So, and I feel like a lot of the other cigar smokers are the same. But I just want to place that bug in here because I heard that it used to be a really good time. Like the libations were flowing and the cigars were blowing. So it was what a time to be had, right?
I can tell you 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Friday, it certainly will be that.
I'm in that number. So with the lawsuits, how many active lawsuits do we have going on right now?
We have one right now in California. Well, actually 2 in California. There's one at the federal and the state level that are still going on. And that's challenging the unflavored tobacco listing, which is basically a registry for all cigars that manufacturers have to pay a fee and attest that it's not a flavored tobacco product. And, the initiation fee last year was $300. This year for renewal, it's $150. And it really is a money grab from the state. And it's unfortunate that a lot of the shops in California, they won't get a lot of the limited editions or shop exclusives because it becomes so cost prohibitive, and a lot of just regulatory red tape, getting the application approved and having a lawyer. We try to streamline it and make it as easy as possible where, we provide 75% of the framework for people, and then they have their attorney review it and add stuff to it. But it's that California and Massachusetts are the 2 states that are the most difficult to operate a business in. For our side of business, they're very anti-tobacco states. You have in Massachusetts the initiatives to ban nicotine or ban smoking altogether. If you're born after a certain date, they're called generational nicotine or generational smoking bans. And we've been fighting against those in a lot of localities and even the state level. So I think those are, I would say, the 2 states and the 2 issues that keep me up at night the most right now.
Right. Combating the legislation between the state and trying to keep everybody happy with the restrictions. So, because on the federal level, we're in tax season, so the tax code is ingrained in my mind right now. So I'm thinking taxes, deductions, itemizing. Why are we being taxed on that? Who approved of this? So I'm really, my eyes are glued to like the legislation on what's going on with the tariffs and the additional sales taxes going on elsewhere, because Texas is pretty wide open for business.
Yeah,
which is leading me to my next point. Why not Dallas? Why not PCA in Dallas?
There's not a sized building that allows continuous smoking. We need about 400,000 square feet. And actually, we're a growing show. There are people that wanted to exhibit at PCA that we ran out of space for. So, we need about 400,000 square feet. And right now, New Orleans, and Vegas are the ones that are on our radar. Now, recently, St. Louis amended their indoor smoking prohibition to allow for their convention center. And, we're locked into Vegas and New Orleans for the next 4 years.
Nice.
However, that's not to say that we might not do a smaller event, at a different time of year. It really is market demands. PCA owns the trademark for Cigar Bar Expo. So I could envision something where, you bring the liquor and spirits industry together and they take half of a show floor space and we take half. I've explored that in the Wynwood Convention Center in Miami. It's about 90,000 square foot. So not the big gargantuan booths. We don't want to take away from the overall Super Bowl experience of the trade show, but it's possible that we do a small to medium size activation in the future.
Right on. We'll have to see if the city be willing to lift some restrictions temporarily, at least a 2-week or a 30-day. Just, hey man, on this day,
yeah,
leave us alone. So PCA also acquired a Tobacconist Academy. What was that like?
Yeah, the Cigar Academy, it really started the conversations when we hired Ricardo Carioni to be our director of international and education. He was one of the founders of the Cigar Academy, and he's been working on educational programming. We actually did an event together at the University of Houston in their beverage and hospitality program. That was our first activation and through the PCA/Cigar Academy lens. And then we announced a partnership with FIU. We sold out that class last year. It was a master class on luxury marketing of premium cigars. And, so we wanted to continue to grow educational offerings. We're going to launch a retailer centric course. The Cigar Academy does a lot with duty free. That's another opportunity for membership growth for us. And we want to have some baseline training. So if you're a golf course that has a humidor, that you can get some basic training on premium cigars and know the different varietals and know the growing process and understand some of the subtle differences between Honduran tobacco and Dominican tobacco and Nicaraguan tobacco. So it really was a natural fit. We have already a couple plans in the works for the Academy. Like I mentioned, that new course that will be running, our online platform. They have the online platform people can go on right now and sign up for the courses to get the certification, the level 1. We're going to launch a level 2 certification and then kind of subdivide based off of categories for more specific training. And then the plan is to have some, factory tours and excursions that are educational based. We have partnerships with Puro Sabor in Nicaragua, Pro Cigar in the Dominican, as well as the Festival for Coffee and Cigars in Honduras. So, we kind of want to cross market and promote those standing events and then add in that educational component there to make a natural partnership. They know how to throw the parties. They're fantastic. And then the tours and the experience in the factories and farms and fields, coupled with maybe, let's say, a 10-hour online course, I think that people would get a lot of value out of. And that's a value add. We're not there to compete against people that are doing the things in the industry very well. Tobacconist University is another online offering that's incredible. I've got a certification from that myself, even before I took over as CEO, and that's advanced. I mean, the book for Tobacconist University is incredible. I highly recommend people that are real nerds in this to buy that book. Jorge Armenteros does a lot of good stuff there. So it's nice to have different options. I know the Cigar Sommelier, there's different offerings, and having that variety our unique position in this is the largest association in the space. We're the ones that are doing the most international outreach right now. And we have the university partnership. So like that's important. If you want something that's not only accredited from the PCA or the Cigar Academy, but getting something accredited from FIU or another university. And we also have one in Nicaragua, Kaiser University, a business class about factory management. So we're really, I think it's long overdue. But I plan on utilizing the Cigar Academy as like a catalyst for a education renaissance in the cigar industry.
Man, that's phenomenal. That is absolutely phenomenal. It's like I like what you said with at the beginning there. It's a baseline. So you have a baseline of uniformed education across the board, especially for new lounges that are looking to open up, and they can send their teams or their one or two tobacconists to become real certified tobacconists in the humidor. Because a lot of times with when I'm talking to these lounges, it's either the owner knows it or one other guy knows, or the guy that's always, sitting in the lounge smoking that knows what's going on with tobaccos, or like, you should try this cigar. What do you like? Or what did you eat today? Like going through those different type of questions, but being able to hire and then have an affordable training program that they can reach out to and trust. It really helps out with growing the employment of these lounges.
Yeah. And, coupled with all of that, we've been doing a lot of independent research on the industry itself, like the economic data, the trends, the small business techniques. So we've commissioned an economist on multiple occasions now. We did a comprehensive tax policy study last year. We did some studies on the tariff policy and trade policy this year, and hopefully later this year, if not next year, we'll do one on cigar bars and kind of the complement of other services and products that are enjoyed typically with cigars.
I love that. Now, you said cigar bars. What is your true distinction for having a cigar bar versus a cigar lounge?
So the bar itself is the liquor component, being able to sell that piece. The lounge, I mean, there's lounges that don't sell spirits. They don't have the licensing for that. And fortunately, though, that has been a very positive product of the recent state legislative cycle. States like South Dakota, a lot of the Midwest states to West states have been allowing for that licensing to take place, which is a new positive development.
So do you guys have advocates that can help in individual states with getting their licensing?
Yeah, we have, peer-to-peer is great, being able to call another retailer and get advice. And that's another beauty of the trade show. You get to meet, 800 retailers that are like-minded in the trenches, working small businesses, most of them mom and pop, 2 to 4 employee operations. So you can kind of get nitty gritty and ask those tough questions from a peer-to-peer side. But we also have 23 state associations. We offer grant programs to those state associations. We have a director of state advocacy that provides local and state resources. Our team, I mean, we were only eight staff members, but most of us are pretty well versed in a lot of the policy side. I mean, before becoming CEO, I was in government affairs, federal, state, local, international, so kind of covered the gamut. And people send me questions. I get Facebook messages, Instagram messages, emails, text, phone calls, and I do my best to respond to as many as I can. I mean, if not all of them. If I see it, then I will get the resources and point them in the right direction. And our staff, we view that as a key customer customer service portion of the association. And I've set goals and programs and Cigar Academy to Dubai to any of these new things. It's either revenue, reach, retention, or recruitment. Those 4 R's. I told the team I want to see a justification for any new programs that they meet one of those criteria.
No, that's phenomenal. So with the revenue, the reach, and recruitment, I see a lot of the women, like the women of PCA. You just hired a new marketing director. Is her name Nikki?
Leslie.
Okay. What was that like searching for a new marketing director? I didn't even know you guys were looking for one, and then just having the women of PCA really spearhead the reach.
So we're fortunate, even though we only have 8 staff members, we have a lot of great contractors. So our last 2 hires, the 2 hires that were made under my watch, were, and obviously with input of our staff and board, Shannon and Leslie, they were contractors for the association that we decided, all right, it's financially better for us, given their great work product, to bring them in-house. So it was something where we're like, all right, we've already identified how do we, bring them in and justify the cost of having another employee. And it's paid tenfold. I mean, Shannon and Lisa Cox are some of the best, not just in the cigar industry and putting on events, but nationally, internationally. I mean, Lisa Cox and I, working with the team in Dubai, our partner organization, Lisa and I were never in Dubai before we launched this new event. And we had 1,700 people, 60 booths at this brand new event first year, and it was profitable year 1. So, wow. I'm very fortunate to work with great people, across the board. And on the women of PCA front, we have volunteers. They're the most active group in the association. They're like a subgroup. And this year I said, hey, you have a budget. You guys decide what you want to do with this budget. I know that they're launching a cigar with Gran Habano. I hope I didn't steal their thunder and announce it here, but may have. But next week, people will get to try the cigar.
Right.
They are very. The enthusiasm there is uncommon. You don't see that with everyone. And they actually pushed me last year to do a fly-in, to have, come meet with members of Congress and staff, get an advocacy training. And I think we conducted like 80 congressional meetings in the day that they were here. So it increased our advocacy footprint. Most of the people, if not all of them, flew on their own dime and covered their hotels and did that because they're so engaged with it. So I'm a huge proponent. I will be at the Women of PCA event at the trade show, and it's one that I always look forward to, just because I know even if I'm only there for a half hour bouncing between the different events, there's going to be somebody in that group that's going to have a idea that we're going to take and run with it.
Right. And that's one of the things that I've been noticing, like getting the women more engaged into this cigar industry has propelled a lot of ideas and a lot of beautifully made changes in this industry. Now, going into like changes, right? We're talking about progression and having these different changes being active. What is it with everyone moving to the San Andreas Sumatra wrapper type of releases? Because you notice I'm noticing myself that a lot of brands are doing their releases with Sumatra or San Andreas wrappers. For a while there was the Carrillo and the Corojo. I think for the past want to say 10 years. And now everybody's kind of gravitating to the Sumatra San Andreas. And the reason I'm asking is because it's personal, because that's what I like. So I wanted to get your take on it. What have you been noticing with how people are pushing out new products?
There's certainly trends that you see. And, I think in that instance, people are looking and gravitating to fuller, medium to full cigars, full flavor. And, it's something where it kind of ebbs and flows. Like next year, you might see a ton of Connecticut wrap cigars. Like it's, the product itself, like I think there's each brand and each company makes their decisions. And this year, you're right, there's a collection. I've noticed a lot of box press cigars. It's the companies themselves do a good job at looking at trends and looking what consumers are buying. And they know, all right, they're selling X amount of Robusto size, and X amount of Toro. If it's more Robusto, they're going to start making more Robusto size cigars. So, it's market trend preference. The blenders themselves, they have projects. I mean, if you have a chance to go to the factory, and if any of the factories, you'll get an immersive education, and they have cigars that, are ready to go, but they won't release for 3-5 years. Around a special occasion, an anniversary or a limited edition. So some of it's market trend, some of it's preference, some of it's timing. But, it'll be interesting to see, because like every day leading up to the show, and, I mentioned we're in the thicket of it, you're seeing 5-7, product releases. And like, I can't wait to try some of them. I know Rocky's new release. I talked to their team, and I can't wait to try that. Espinosa is 8 new releases this year. And like, when I'm seeing those numbers, I'm like, you know what? This is good, because they would not have been able to release new products if we would not have won one of our lawsuits. So that's incredibly important. For you're not able to innovate with the tools because it's artisanal, it's handmade products, but you are able to innovate through creativity. And I think that's an important point. This is not a industry that is stuck in the Stone Age when it comes to creativity and the marketing of products, the development of products, the stories, the passion behind them. But, there's only subtle differences of actually how the product is made itself. And you'll see those as you go to different factories. Oh, they did it this way, they did it that way. And the behind the scenes tour is really important. And I encourage people, Tampa, Florida, the JC Newman factory. That is an easy trip for most people. There's a lot of lounges and retailers there. Great food in Tampa. Women at PCA, that's another thing that they spearheaded. They did a trip to Tampa and went through the factory tour. So, it's interesting to see that side of it too. And people will get a little bit of that in some of the booths and the discussions with the folks. I mean, you don't see this collection of experts in the cigar industry anywhere else. Principals, in the retail sector as well. I mean, the U.S. is the number one retail market. I take great pride in that. I hope as long as I'm in this role, we retain that status as being number one in the retail market. I mean, last year alone, 430 million cigars imported.
Wow. And see, it's kind of funny because the spirits market, they're seeing a downtrend in their sales, their drink sales, but we're seeing an uptick in cigar sales, and we're having the most restrictions and having to combat the legislations and the laws that are being passed on Capitol Hill right now. But we're seeing a larger uptick in sales. I kind of attribute that to like how it went back in the Prohibition, like when it wasn't legal and we were fighting to get it, and so you saw demand increase for it. but by any means necessary. But now it's like, okay, now we fought so hard for it. Now it's not the scarcity aspect of it. Now we want it. Do you feel like that's kind of helping sales move along because of that?
I think a lot of it has to do, for at least brick and mortar, the social connectedness. So I'm actually, and I'm going to be a nerd for a second. I am getting my doctorate in business administration with a concentration in hospitality, and this is one of the things that my dissertation is on. I'm going to study over the next 3 years
Wow.
why consumers purchase online versus offline. What are the motivations? Price, social anxiety, social connectiveness, event quality. I've 8 different hypotheses, different variables that we're looking at. So I'm hoping to discover answers, and maybe in 3 years when we do this show again, I'll have a better answer for you of why people buy. But I think the pandemic, when people were at home. You had folks that tried cigars because they had a lot more time on their hands, and they've sustained that hobby. They're a cigar aficionado. Like us in the industry, we're outliers. We're anomalies because we smoke a lot more than your average person. Your average cigar aficionado has less than 2 cigars a month. It's occasional. It's celebratory. You win a game. Wedding, things like that. So
well, see, this is why I got to get you this shirt. It says there's people that smoke cigars, and then there's cigar smokers.
Yeah.
Right. We're cigar smokers. So like one or two a month, that's just not, we're sick.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to try everything that's on the shelf. Like, I don't want anyone to be like, hey, what do you think of this cigar, and have not experienced it. So, I'm one of those consumers that likes to try what's new, but I also have my staples. Like a Padron, my father, either one of those cigars. Like when I go to a shop, I will most likely purchase one of those 2 brands because they're very consistent. And that's what I personally enjoy when I'm spending my own money on a cigar. That's what I'm getting. I'm not bashful about that. Tatuai I throw in there.
Right.
Eat, the My Father folks, George Padron, they know this. Like I tell them that. But I also like trying what's new on the market. And some of these boutique folks, they're really pushing the envelope. They're doing creative things. And, boutique brands of 10 years ago are staples nowadays. I mean, that terminology, and there's debate of what is a boutique cigar versus what is a core or a regular cigar, or mainstream cigar. And, the divide line.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said it, because I was looking at the boutique I was looking at the magazine release. So PCA has a magazine that you guys release. Is it once every quarter?
Yeah, once a quarter.
Once a quarter. So you guys just released it, and you guys had a section of like the boutiques of the month or of the quarter, and I was like, wait, Crown Heads is a boutique, and Foundation is a boutique. These are boutiques cigars. Like, so where's the break in at boutique? Because like I'm like, man, the boutique cigar market has just completely expanded and just taken off like a rocket.
Yeah. Nick at Foundation, I mean, his company is really, really doing well, making quality product after quality product. And we're grateful. He every year is our annual meeting sponsor. So, that's the other cool thing. I think we had 52 sponsors this year. So they're not only seeing the value of exhibiting, but also take it a step further. And, that's exciting to see. If the show's going to grow, the enthusiasm and excitement, we have to do our part. And I think our exhibitors, our members, our retailers, they need to show up and participate. We are collectively the stewards of the industry. I eat, sleep, breathe cigars. I love it. There's nothing else I would rather do than to be in the role that I'm in right now. And I'm very grateful for that opportunity. I fought for the job. I want the job. I want to continue this and have a legacy in the industry of in a very different sense. I want people to say, all right, you know what, that Josh Habursky, he did 15 years with PCA and he left it in a better place than it was. And he left the industry and it afforded opportunities for new small business owners, people that are willing to take a risk into a very honorable profession that sometimes is demonized because it's tobacco. I see my peers that are my age, that are the next generation of cigar makers, and I want to make sure that they can continue to put food on their families' tables through this profession. So there's a lot of personal desire for me to see the success of the show, success of the association, which is ultimately the success of the industry.
Right. And see, I love that. Now, speaking about the age gap, right? Because like when we go into a lounge, me, you, like there's a significant age gap. How do we continue to bridge that gap and make it even closer to where we're having more of our age range come into this space and be more welcomed in this atmosphere?
I think, you're seeing certain lounges cater to different audiences. I'm going tomorrow to Miami, and on Saturday I'll go to the Cigar Club of Miami. Now that lounge, I think, is the 25 to 35. Like, they do a really good job. It's a luxury experience. It's, they actually just gave cigars to Dana White, the head of the UFC, before the UFC fight, which will be Saturday. They do a really good job at showcasing the refinement, the sophistication of the cigar industry. And I think it's appealed to people in that 25 to 35 range. It is an adult product, and we're proud of the fact that it's not, appealing to youth. That's not our core market. I think it's the core market is the luxury market, as well as a affordable luxury. I mean, you can still get a $8 cigar that is incredible, that will stack up against some of these $50 cigars. So, there's a price point for everyone.
Right.
And I think that's the beauty of the cigar community. It doesn't matter what your profession is, you can connect with a cigar community. And I think that you can travel to different lounges. In Texas, I mean, you have a ton of options. There's a bunch of opportunities. But I've gone to parts, and this is something I'm really proud of this year. I've gone to at least 4 states where no one from PCA, the organization itself, staff, has gone before. And I'm going to continue to do that. I have one in June to Oregon, a trip there, but I did Mississippi, Maine. My colleague did Rhode Island, and I also did New Mexico. And you would not believe the quality of lounges that I've saw, just because they're not in a major city like a DC, a Dallas, Miami. There's a lot out there in, small, medium-sized towns. And I think that's the appeal to a lot of the localities. If you want a Main Street sustainable business that's not not like every other restaurant or every other bar, having that is important. That will be an anchor, and other specialty retail will build around that. So, if your town is kind of desolate and stuff, that's why we encourage a lot of cigar bar legislation to allow that, so that people can craft those businesses. And some of them are, that's their bread and butter. That's their main job. Others are, folks that have retired, and a couple people come together and they decide to start a business. They think that they can bring people together, and we want to provide resources for that. We have members that have 300 stores, and I have members that are single store retailers.
That's phenomenal. Are you in your soft flame era?
Soft, yes, always. Like, honestly, it's hilarious because I buy, and everyone's like, "Oh, you're the CEO of the Premium Cigar Association. You must have the best lighter cutters." And look, I have a DuPont that I have in a safe. I'm glad that I have it. But I travel around with not even Bic lighters, but the cheaper Amazon brand Bic equivalent, because I
Right.
leave them in hotel rooms and everywhere. So this is my go-to, is this, real easy lighter.
I always attribute, like, if you're going to be in the elements, like most cities have trying to regulate us too, right? Going outside, smoking outside, and unless you're in a lounge, you do need a torch. But I do find it uh, a little bit different whenever I get a chance to use matches and use a soft flame. It
Yeah.
just, the flavor is just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me, it hits a little bit different.
Well, yeah, and that's a subtle difference too, of like different lounges. I mean, there's places where they will light your cigar for you, cut your cigar for you. I've traveled last year to London and Dubai, and got to see some of the this most sophisticated lounges. That people are wearing white gloves with the cigars. I mean, you think that you're walking into like a Louis Vuitton store, and but you also have your mom and pop corner store cigar shops that are equally as enticing for me to go to, and seeing some of the selections or products that they have that have some age on them, with that yellow cello
Yeah,
that's been in the humidor for 15 years. It's like, oh, I found a gem. I found a what do they call it, a Jimmy Hoffa cigar.
Hoff, found a Jimmy Hoffa cigar, but no Jimmy.
Yeah, no Jimmy.
So with the Dubai, like, you invited me out to Dubai. I had some calendar restraints, because when we did our last live, it was close around to doing the PCA World Trade in Dubai. What do you think that's going to be like going forward? Like, we know we're in a weird space right now with everything that's going on overseas, in Iran and the US. Do you think that's going to impact anything with travel to Dubai, or being able to have a cigarette, or not a cigarette, a cigar, shipped over there with all the brands that's not already over in Dubai?
I think we're going to monitor the situation for safety and security about the show itself. We're making preparations for it, as if it's going to happen. I can say that if it does occur, it will be twice the size of what it was this previous year. The enthusiasm, the buildup. I mean, there were a ton of people doubting whether it was going to happen. Well, can they do this? Like, there was a ton of naysayers about it. And the team really delivered. Raid from the Leaf Master, he spent a ton of time. Like, I give him a credit, and that's another example of a volunteer putting forth a new initiative. And without him, it would not have happened. It would not have been nearly as successful. This year, we are planning activations that will be incredible experiences. We want the memorable experience like we'll have in New Orleans, the jazz music, the outdoor park, the food, the spirits, the camaraderie. In Dubai, we're going to do a sea smoke, a sky smoke, and a desert smoke. So, it'll be one of those incredible experiences. Imagine, getting on a bus, going 30 minutes outside of the city, in a desert, with the pillow chairs and tents, and riding camels, and being able to have a cigar over the stars. You get to see the stars. Then Dubai skyline, and then being on a boat. So like, it's going to be an incredible experience, whether it happens this year or next year. Either way, we have a plan. This year also, my flight, I'm booked. I'm planning on going. I plan on going to Bahrain, Qatar, and Kuwait as well. on that trip. So we're really building it as kind of a tour. We hope that folks will not only enjoy the 2-day World Cigar Show, but the brands will then support the Gulf states and those cigar markets. That's a huge market for the overall industry, of which half of our membership, 300 plus manufacturers and suppliers, we're looking and putting together programming that benefits them as well.
Man, that's powerful, because they do have the money over there.
It's very opulent. I mean, and the incredible thing, and I was shocked, you can go to a Michelin star restaurant and light up a cigar. Most of the hotels, the nicer hotels, have cigar lounges in there, not, cigarettes, not hookah, cigar lounges. So like the cigar culture in Dubai, the closest parallel is London. And I think a lot of folks from London, they established the lounges there, and then they went and also established cigars in Dubai. So, I'm biased. The U.S. cigar market is the largest. I think it's the best. It's the most diverse, but the sophistication of the London and Dubai market is incredible. I know this year I will be going to Asia for the first time. In the later part of the year, November, December. And I think that will be a new experience too. I think that that's another market that's really robust and growing.
Man, your worldwide traveling is inspiring. You're really pioneering a lot of things to really bridge these gaps. And if anybody doesn't notice it, I'm noticing it. So I commend you on what you're doing with expanding the market and expanding the reach, and actually broadening a lot of people's horizons, because not only will the big brands go, but the boutique brands will go. You'll be able to bridge, okay, these brands over here are great here. There's a market over here for you as well.
And those boutique brands, I think, were a lot of the companies that did the best at the first World Cigar Show. It's a smaller footprint. There were only 60 exhibitors, so it wasn't as competitive as our trade show is. So, a couple of them really shined, and they said, "You do it again, count us in every year." So, it's important, and like we're taking calculated risks. The fact that it was profitable in the first year for us was great. And we're making investments into the association and the industry that will pay dividends in the long run. And one of the new projects that our team is working on, and our board of directors is really spearheading, one of the issues that we've encountered with retailers is they're having their insurance policies canceled for being a tobacco business. So we're exploring what it would look like to have our own insurance company or partnership of offering small business insurance to our membership.
Wow. Wow, that's huge. That's huge. Because I ran into a guy that he specializes in insurance for life insurance policies for tobacco smokers, because once they find out you are a tobacco user, that policy goes way up on you. And it's like, well, how do we combat this? Because I mean, we have a policy, but I'm not going to use it right now, and you're going to take all this money out of me while I'm a small business owner.
Yeah.
And trying to help everybody manufacture, like, okay, you want to sell a policy, I want to buy a policy. How can we meet in the middle here? So I think that's another great pivot for you. Speaking of pivot, we're gonna go into a little bit about why cigars for you personally.
Yeah. So my story in cigars started when I was an undergraduate student in college, and my mentor used to have Fridays, the Winston Churchill Society, where we would smoke cigars and talk politics. Dr. Joseph DeSaro at Washington and Jefferson College, I think from an instructor standpoint, he was the most influential person in my career. I wanted to be a political science professor. So, I fast forward. In order to do that, I went to Georgetown to get my master's degree. And I've said, all right, I got to learn how to do politics and political history before I go and teach it. So I started lobbying and, was fortunate enough to do 8 years in it and have the opportunity to go to the IPCPR at the time, PCA, and find my dream industry. I don't know what I would do without this industry. Like, it's part of my identity. People in DC know that I'm the cigar guy. And that's something that I'm really proud of. I get the best of both worlds. I teach at George Washington University as an adjunct. So it worked out in the end, but I started cigars because of him. I haven't looked back. The last 5 to 6 years, I've got to smoke cigars in incredible places all around the world. I've had a cigar with every major manufacturer, brand owner, and that's, you can't put a price tag on that. Like, it isn't about salaries or that. To me, it's like, we're at the forefront of an industry, and like the culmination of all of that is the trade show. It's the family reunion. We get to see people, and that's what I'm most looking forward to, is just seeing people and hanging out and catching up. My closest friends I've made through cigars. Whenever I travel, I go to cigar lounges. It's a destination wherever I go. And I'm proud to, have gone to 100 lounges every year, new lounges every year that I've been working in the association. So, there's sacrifices you have to make. And you don't get as much of a social life running an association like this, but you do get a lot of benefits in the people that you meet and the experiences that you get to share with them over a cigar.
Right. And see, that's basically what I wanted to know, because that's kind of, the experience is different, but the feel is the same on my end. I tried smoking cigarettes. I just don't like the taste. I don't see the point. And then hookah, I had a period in time, college hookah was the big thing, and it still didn't sit right with me. But something about a cigar just really resonated with me, and just really getting involved in learning the nuances and learning different flavors. There's different types of variations of tobacco, and the regions dictate the flavor and the soil, and just nerding out with the big cigar nerds more than anything. Yeah. So my next question is, it's one of those time capsules, humidor time capsule. 30 years. What is going to be in your humidor time capsule that you would put in and be like, if I'm around, I'm gonna open it back up and I'm gonna smoke it. But if I'm not around, hopefully one of my kids or grandchildren will, 30 years, maybe grandchildren will be able to experience this cigar.
So I think it's tough because I'm notorious for not having any good cigars in my humidor, whether it's the work humidor, I have a locker membership at a cigar lounge, or my home humidor. And, I smoke everything that's good. Like, I keep a few things to give to friends and stuff like that. I have a cigar that we did for Congress. That's kind of a special deal. We gave every member of Congress, or select members of Congress were able to get one of these cigars. I was involved in the blend with Christian Arroyo. We went to Honduras, stayed at his house and factory. That was an incredible experience. And then before I took the job as the CEO, I actually had a blend. I had several blends, El Politico. I had the Lobbyist. I had the Chicago Typewriter that I did with Alec Bradley. So, some of those, like, I keep smoking them and I'm worried that I'm going to not have them anymore. So in 30 years, I hope to have a couple of those cigars to be like, man, what was I thinking then? Like, my palate has graduated. I've learned so much more. When I go to these festivals or the trade show or any of these things, I'm like a sponge. I just want to like absorb the knowledge of some of these people. When I was in Nicaragua, I got to spend a time with Nestor Plasencia and like seeing his passion and some of the creative agriculture innovations that they're doing. I would want to have hopefully saved a stash of cigars that are, kind of those rare ones. But to tell you the truth, like, my humidor is pretty bare and pretty underwhelming.
Because you get a cigar, you smoke a cigar. You get a cigar, you smoke a cigar. What's funny is that is the hardest question for anybody, any true cigar smoker to answer. And it's because, like, you're a cigar smoker. It's already aged. Why would I put it in my humidor? Why would I? 30 years. If it's that good of a cigar, I'm gonna smoke it right now.
Yeah.
So I always ask that, just to pick your brain on like, okay, what is your palate like? What is really resonating with you? What brand or what particular Vitola? So next question is, like, because I know I'm taking up a lot of your time and I appreciate you for it.
Good.
How do we get involved with you? How do we connect with you?
Yeah. So,
how do we become a member of the PCA?
So we have alliance members that can be anyone, consumers, get our magazine, some of the business benefits. The only difference between the alliance membership, that's more consumer, other businesses that are connected to the cigar industry, like bars or restaurants, golf courses that might sell cigars through a retailer or distributor. People can join there. That's on our website, premiumcigars.org. If you're a retailer, hopefully you join the association as well as a associate manufacturer. Those are our core membership categories. And, if you do join in that and have a tobacco license, you are eligible to come to our trade show. So there's a variety of different ways to connect with us. We also have cigaraction.org. That's our advocacy website. All things advocacy are on there. Our social media is at PCA 1933, the year we were founded. People can connect on a variety of different topics there. And then I would say, check out the Cigar Academy, our latest addition to the PCA portfolio.
Wow. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask the benefits. What are the benefits of being a member?
So the benefits for a retail manufacturer, show attendance, advocacy portion, our communications, advocacy-oriented communications, but also like our magazine, our almanac. We have the attendee guide, access and discounts to select events. Like, for instance, our membership was able to get a discount on Big Smoke, Florida, which is coming up in May. People got $100 off the ticket cost for that if they were a PCA member, alliance, as well as retailer manufacturers. So, we keep adding different benefits. One of the other benefits, hopefully soon, will be the ability to get insurance through PCA. We did a partnership last year with Eventbrite. So retailers, manufacturers, if they host events, they can use Eventbrite services at a discount. So we're constantly vetting and negotiating for new benefits for our members.
Man, that's powerful. So, guys, this is Mr. Josh, the Wolf of K Street, your CEO of the PCA. Thank you for your time, guys. Thank you. Make sure you stay tuned on Bosstalks because we'll be in the building at the PCA. It's April 17th through the 20th. It's going to be a great time in New Orleans. I always enjoy the food, always enjoy the vendors and the brands. Oh my God, the brands, and it's always a time. So remember, storms don't last, but your home should. Peace. Till things.